Hello Year 1. Right, we're going to carry on with our new book, the Giggler treatment. Just a recap. So we have met Mr. Mac and his children and the Gigglers, and we know that Mr. Mac is just going on his way to work. He's very happy. He's about to have his favourite fig biscuits today, but he is about 10 inches now away from standing on top of a poo left there by the Giggler treatment, by the Gigglers, and they are giving him the Giggler treatment because he sent his children to their room. But remember, it was at the end of a terrible day where he had replaced the window and his children had just broken the window for the 8th time, and his son wasn't being cheeky, he was just answering a question, but he thought he was being a little bit rude to him. So Mr. Mac has had a terrible day, but he's about to get the Giggler treatment. But we are now on chapter, well, I don't know what chapter it is because it's just called Another Chapter. So we've got a picture there of a baby. Okay. Mr. Mac went back into the kitchen. The boy's mother, Billie Jean Fleetwood Mac, The boy's mother, Billie Jean Fleetwood Mac, was there with the baby, Kayla. Kayla was eating a sugar-free biscuit. "Abba," she said. "No," said Billie Jean, "you can't have one with sugar in it. They're bad for your teeth." "Abba," said Kayla. "I know you don't have any teeth," said Billie Jean, "but you will soon." "Abba." "Yes, I know your father eats biscuits. It's his job. It's dangerous work," said Billie Jean proudly, "but someone has to do it." She now spoke to Mr. Mac. "The boys can't go to bed without their supper," she said. "I know," said Mr. Mac. "I'll call them down in a minute." "They didn't do it on purpose," said Billie Jean. "I know," said Mr. Mac. "Abba," said Kayla. "I know," said Mr. Mac. Abba was the only word that Kayla could say so far, but because all the Macs loved her so much, they always understood exactly what she meant. Mr. Mac stroked Kayla's cheek. It's been a hard day. You should have seen that vulture." "Abba," said Kayla. "Even bigger," said Mr. Mac. Then he went into the hall and called up the stairs. "Boys, come down for your supper." "What is it?" Robbie shouted. "Whatever you want," said Mr. Mac. But the Gigglers, they didn't hear him this time. It was too late. They'd gone. They were off looking for the good bit of poo for Mr. Mac's shoe. Oh, so they didn't see that actually he wasn't being mean to the children. He was being lovely. And maybe he wouldn't get the Giggler treatment if they had been there to see that bit. This one here, the chapter after the last one. Can you see the Giggler there? They waited for the swipe, 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 Mr. Mac rubbing the shoe on some grass, and the chuff, 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 the train leaving, ha-ha, and the bang, bang, ouch, Mr. Mac banging his head off the wall. 8 inches, 7, 6, 5. They waited for the first big thump, Mr. Mac's foot belly flopping into the you-know-poo. "Fish fingers," said the seagull. "Yuck." The middle-sized Giggler shoved her other foot into her mouth. "Why was it taking so long for Mr. Mac's foot to hit the poo?" Good question. Mr. Mac was wearing brand new trousers and they were very stiff. They were so stiff he could hardly bend and straighten his legs. Now we'll find out where the Gigglers got the you-know-what. The chapter before the next one. Can you see that picture there? It's of a dog, Rover, I think, on the toilet, looking a little bit shy. Eek. Dogs don't like going to the toilet on the street, but their owners make them do it. "Come on, Rover, let's go for a walk," said Rover's owner as he drags Rover to the front door. "Let's go for a poo, more like," says Rover to himself. "You're not fooling me." Poor Rover has to stand out on the street, usually late at night, in the rain and snow, thunder and lightning, in the glare of passing car lights, and go to the toilet whilst his owner stares straight at him. Oh, good boy, Rover. Hurry up, says the owner. Leave me alone, says Rover to himself. My bum is cold. But Rover does his poo because he knows that he won't go back in the house if he doesn't. And then the Gigglers come along. The night that Mr. Max sent the boys up to their bedroom, Rover had done a whopper. Wow, said the Gigglers, rubbing their hands and giggling. Oh, good old Rover, he never lets us down. There were 4 Gigglers there that night. The biggest, the middle-sized, the smallest, and the one that was even smaller than the smallest. This was the first one that the even smaller than the smallest Giggler had been out on the... This was the first time that the even smaller than the smallest Giggler had been out on a poo-finding mission. So she was very excited. Are we ready? Said the biggest one. Ready? Rubber gloves? Rubber gloves. Plastic bag? Plastic bag. Poo claw? Poo claw. Right, don't know if you can see that, but there is a picture of, so on this side of the page, there's the 4 Gigglers, and then on the other side, there's the owner and Rover by a lamppost having his poo. The smallest Giggler lifted the poo off the path with the poo claw. This was a plastic claw like a crab's that opened and closed when she pushed a lever on its handle. The middle-sized Giggler held the plastic bag open for the poo. Drop the poo, said the biggest Giggler. Dropping the poo, said the smallest Giggler, and she let the poo drop into the plastic bag. Catching the poo, said the middle-sized Giggler, and she closed the bag. Well done, said the biggest Giggler. 20 pence? 20 pence, said the even smaller than the smallest Giggler. This was her big moment. She took the money from the pouch that covered her green tummy. Her tummy was green because Rover had left the poo right beside a green car. She held it up in the air. 20 pence! Good, said the biggest one. Let's go. The money was for Rover. The Gigglers always paid for their poo. Rover! Rover! The smallest Giggler held the letterbox open as the biggest one, I shouted, and it said here, as the biggest one whisper shouted. Rover! Rover! The smallest Giggler held the letterbox open as the biggest one whisper shouted into the hall of Rover's house. Rover was upstairs sitting on the toilet. He always did this when his owners had gone to bed. His owner could never understand how the dog hair got onto the toilet seat or how the paw prints got onto the toilet paper. All dogs do this and they never ever get caught. What now? Said Rover. Can a dog have no peace? He wiped his bum and flushed the toilet. He washed his paws and dried them and went down to the hall. Rover, by the way, was the great, keep on saying great for 20 minutes, grandson of Bran, the Irish wolfhound. Do you remember the Irish wolfhound was the first dog poo that was stood in? Rover saw a Giggler hand sticking through the letterbox holding a 20 pence piece. The door was red. The hand was red. He took the coin. Thanks, Rover, said the even smaller than the smallest Giggler. That was a classic. You're welcome, said Rover, because it's hard to say you're welcome when you're holding a 20 pence piece between your teeth. Rover went into the kitchen. He found the big bone his owner had given him earlier that day. Rover's owner, by the way, was the keep on saying great for 2 hours and 37 minutes, grandson of the first caveman. The bone was on the mat. Rover held the bone between his paws and pushed the 20 pence piece into the hollow part where the marrow used to be. Rover's owner loved him. He loved the way he shook himself when he was wet. He loved the way he pulled the letters from the letterbox when the postman was delivering them, and he didn't mind a bit when Rover made the letters soggy. He was such a clever dog. He could beg, he could fetch sticks. What his owner didn't know, and what nobody else knew, was that Rover was a millionaire. Rover had buried over £1,000,000 all in 20p pieces and all inside hollow bones in his owner's back garden. All of that money had been given to him by the Gigglers. "Oh, look at Rover burying the bone. Isn't he clever?" "Ha ha ha," said Rover to himself. "You will never know how clever." Rover hated bones.